Gato Perro back with another review today on the DC Comics Designer Series Great Capullo action figure Batman from DC Collectibles. Now I know this figure's been out for almost 2 months now, but I still wanted to get my thoughts on it, so let's get started. Okay, so let's start with the package. You can definitely tell that they went with a brand new design for this new series, and I really like it a lot. And it is quite a bit smaller, but it does have a bigger window for you to look at the figure. And I've taken out the bubble from the inside so you can see the artwork. And basically they're just pictures of the figures going across, and each one with each color, depending on which character you have. This one being a gray color for Batman. And at the top we have a bat logo, and then I like how on the window we also have like a Batman painted on there. And then a nice artwork from Great Capullo on the side, and on the back we get an entire list of the figures for this first part of the series, including Batman the Talon, Nightwing, and the Riddler. And then Series 2 will have Catwoman, Mr. Freeze, Thrasher Batman, which is the big like Hulkbuster type of armor, and I think that would be it. So this Batman, in the short time I've had him, I think he's become one of my favorites, and I really liked how he looks a lot. And he's definitely awesome, and he does have a lot of articulation. Some little areas that aren't my favorite of it, but otherwise he's pretty awesome. As you can see in his hand, he holds his 2 bat-arangs right here, which are very tiny. You're supposed to put into his fingers, but I already lost one of them, and they're somewhere in the carpet, and I think I already vacuumed it. It must have been sucked up in there, so it's lost forever. I have no idea where it is. So I would recommend not moving around when you put him in his hands. Other than that, he's pretty much perfect. I don't think he needs them, other than the fact that they match Great Capullo's artwork, since he likes to put them in his hands a lot. But looking at the figure and how much it matches the likeness of the Great Capullo artwork, it is dead on. It definitely does look like it. You can see the mouth is like the biggest area for me where I can see where it gets its inspiration from, because it has the big kind of almost cartoony look to it, and kind of like the awkward head shape, which I really like a lot, and the shorter ears. And one of my favorite parts is the eyes. I always did like just the white pupils, and I don't have many Batman figures that just have those white pupils. Mine is the DCUC Batman that I have, and you can see I like how basically this looks kind of how we're going to see Ben Affleck in the new Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice movie. Pretty much the classic gray and black costume that we know Batman from. And this doesn't really have as much sculpting of the armor bits or the lines that go across his suit. I think Great Capullo does a great job of having to, I don't know if they're forced to draw the lines in there just to show you that it's New 52, but he doesn't do it over as much as Jim Lee does, so I like that a lot too. I already went over the head sculpt. Has decent paint apps on the mouth. Sometimes people say that the lips are a bit over pink, but I don't think they're too bad. They definitely don't detract from the figure. And then I do like how the rest of the sculpt goes over to the torso with the bat logo. Mine's not overly painted as well as I would want it to, but it's definitely not an eyesore. And going towards the arms, the gauntlets are painted really well, sculpted, and they do have their own articulation. And then the knuckles almost have like an Arkham-like style, where they have kind of like these armor bits at his knuckles. And then towards the torso, you can see, or the bottom of the torso, you can see the belts. Doesn't have anything to hold anything either, but I wish that in the future. But it does have some paint apps, including kind of an orange shade over it, and then the gray down the pants, just a single line being sculpted down. And then the kneecaps also have like this bad head shape over them. And then we get down to the boots, which are always sculpted awesome as always. So this Great Capullo Batman definitely has some pretty good articulation. It starts from his head. It does go all the way up like that, which is perfect. And it does not require a hinge. It does go down pretty well for brooding kind of scenes. And then his arms go out that much and down kind of that far to go forward. Bicep swivel. His elbows only bend a bit because of his muscle sculpt, but still far enough. He does have a rotation at the gauntlet, a bend at the wrist. It does have an ab crunch right here, which some people might have a problem with getting out of the package, because I've heard some reviews where it just kind of freezes, but definitely not the case with mine. He does have a waist swivel. He does have T-jointed hips to go out. Not really T, but they kind of go on this kind of a plastic see-through joint. He does have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees. He does have a boot rotation right here. He does have ankles that move up and down, but there is no ankle pivot, even though there is kind of a ball that holds the feet together, which I wish they would have done just like the Arkham figures from Arkham Origins, but definitely not bad. And earlier I mentioned how the freezing of the ab crunch might have been one of the issues. Another one would have been that taking him out of the box would have damaged his cape, and then this like tab that holds onto the cape would have ripped off. But thankfully that was not a case with mine, and I'm definitely thankful for that. And I don't think it's a big problem either way. I don't think it would have interrupted the way it looks, and the cape goes over it anyway. For Batman's scale, he stands just underneath 7 inches tall, which is a standard scale for the DC Collectibles line. Here he is standing next to the Batman Arkham Origins Series 1 Batman figure based on the video game. You can see he's just a bit taller. To the top of his ears, he's almost an entire half-inch taller than him. Here he is next to the DC Universe Classics Wave 10 Batman. Here's the Batman Arkham Origins Series 2 Deathstroke. And finally, the Batman Arkham Origins Series 1 Joker. So it's completely up to you whether you want to fit him into your other figure lines. But I don't think they're in scale as much, and they definitely don't look as comic booky, but it's up to you. Alright, so my final thoughts on this figure is if you don't have it already, I definitely would recommend you pick it up. If you've been looking for a definitive Batman, I think this is a good place to start, especially since we're going to be getting some more villains from this line, and including the Nightwing, so you can make them partner up, and the Talon, which is a brand new character we're getting in figure form, the Riddler, if you don't already have one from the DCUC line, and obviously like the Thrasher armor, and I forgot to mention the Red Hood figure, which is also going to be coming out in the Series 2 of this line. I definitely can't wait to see what DC Collectibles picks out of any of the artists from the DC Comics universe. So anyways, I would definitely recommend this Batman. I would give him like a 9 out of 10 or a 9.5. I definitely like it a lot. It has really good articulation, and the miss or the loss of the ankle pivot doesn't really prohibit his stance. He stands pretty good, and sometimes his cape kind of helps to stand him up also if you can get him prompt onto it. But anyway, please stay tuned for more reviews and stop motions from Gato Perro.